And welcome to another edition of The End Zone. I am Colby Daniels, and back by popular demand from 107.7 The Franchise, hosting the Franchise Thunder postgame show is PHIPPEN. What a first two games of the Thunder Nuggets series in Oklahoma City. Nothing to talk about, I'm sure, in those postgame shows, but welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I don't know about popular demand, but I'll take it. I'll take it.
Back by demand, at least. How about that?
That works.
AUBYN is with us for the second week in a row. Last week, AUBYN, we talked about what might be with the Thunder Clippers or the Thunder Nuggets. Since then, not only did the Nuggets win that first round series, but we've had two games in Oklahoma City, getting ready for two games in Denver over the weekend. It's been a fun series, and I don't know about you. I didn't necessarily think that this was going to be an easy path for the Thunder. I also don't think it's going to go 7 games, but these first two games have been a wild roller coaster.
Yeah, I don't think there's an easy path whenever you play Nikola Jokic, and he showed that in game 2, or yeah, I believe it was game 2 or game 1.
Game 1, yeah.
He had the 40, 20. I mean, just doing things that he's always done. And we knew that he was due for at least 1 or 2, 3, 4. I mean, honestly, he could do it for almost every game the way that he plays. But game 1, I mean, so many up the whole time, mainly until the end is down. And you're like, I honestly didn't comprehend the ending of that game until I'm walking out of the stadium with Matt Burton going to postgame show. I'm like, what just happened? What did we just witness? Because obviously a lot of things led up to the end of that fourth quarter. And I mean, a lot of things gone wrong. You don't make free throws. Some argue it's bad coaching, but I kind of disagree. It's kind of a soft topic with some people on Twitter, but no, I mean, crazy 2 games. All around a great series so far.
Well, let's talk about that game 1 a little bit, because it was weird. You have Jamal Murray off to the fast start, right? Denver looks like they're playing good basketball out of the gate. But then, like, once the Thunder got going, I guess, and sort of like put the rust behind them, it was all Thunder for the majority of the night. And you get to the end, and all of a sudden, I never felt like the momentum swung to Denver. It was never a game down the stretch where I felt like, oh man, they're in trouble. Denver has, they just slowly chipped away, and it was like, Thunder mistake, open the door, Denver capitalizes. Thunder mistake, open the door, Denver capitalizes. But it never felt like Denver just roared back into it. So when they won, you didn't really feel it coming, right? Like it was just like a shock, like that actually happened, despite the fact that they had just chipped away to the point that it's a 1-point game late. You mentioned the coaching situation. I think that probabilities have a place in sports. I'm not somebody that is old school and says, like, you got to kick analytics out and it's all by feel. I think you use every tool that you have, and the numbers certainly tell a story that you can use, I think, to your benefit. That doesn't mean it's the end-all, be-all. I think especially in the postseason, you have to take into account every element of a situation and factor that into what maybe the numbers can't. And I thought that they were fouling too early in terms of the amount of time left. That's probably the biggest issue. I also think when Nikola Jokic is on the sideline, that's not necessarily the time to give them an opportunity to score free baskets. And so I don't love what they did. All that said, there were a lot of issues down the stretch of that game that contributed to the loss, including the horrible offensive possessions and Chet's free throws. Yeah,
like you said, we were talking earlier before we came on the show. So everything is situational. Obviously, you practice for things in the regular season, like you said, and you're probably coached to foul up 3. I mean, that's just a normal thing that you do in basketball, but everything is situational. It's postseason, it's postgame. Nikola Jokic is out of the game. I mean, but also it's like I said earlier, you got to make your free throws. Also, whenever you're making that inbounds play that you get to Shea and he goes for the dunk, why are we not cutting some time off the clock there?
If Shea dribbles it back out to the perimeter, maybe it's a different game. That's right.
Yeah, so a lot of things factor, and it was a slow burn, like I said. I mean, that whole game, Thunder had control for the most part, and then towards the end there, they just slowly, Denver just capitalized on the little things.
Well, since we're talking about what ifs, what if Mark Daigneault doesn't sub all the bigs in on the free throws? They make because he wanted to get the rebound if it was a miss. It's a make, so he has to call the last timeout to get his offensive players back in the game. If you still have that timeout after the Aaron Gordon 3, maybe you're able to get one actually good shot off at the buzzer, and it's a different game. So many what ifs. All that said, I felt like the Thunder played well enough to win. They left the door open, and they suffer a heartbreaker. So let's go to game 2. How would this team respond? The biggest narrative, I think, for 48 hours was it's the youngest team in the NBA, so much playoff inexperience. how are they going to respond to a heartbreaker?
Yeah.
They showed up in a big way, and I kind of had the feeling that Denver, if they were to fall behind because they went 7 games in the prior series, they already got the split they needed in Oklahoma City. If they were to fall behind early, they might just wave the white flag. I don't know if they necessarily waved the white flag or the Thunder made them wave the white flag.
I felt like Jokic did it the third quarter when he fouled out.
It was an incredible performance by OKC, sharp in every aspect of the game.
Yeah, no, definitely Game 2 was the game that I feel like they were out for blood. They're like, and that's kind of been the story all year with them. They've rarely lost any back-to-backs during the whole season. So I knew the Thunder would come out swinging on all ends, firing on cylinders. I mean, we saw that first time, I don't know if it's Thunder history, I believe so, but 7 people in double-digit numbers. I mean, all the role players contributing. Big night. I mean, Aaron Wiggins was great. Alex Caruso was great. So yeah, just they came out for blood. I mean, I could tell when we saw Chet earlier that day at shoot-around. He did not seem to be in the best mood because I think he was just super locked in and just like honestly mad and just ready to get his revenge after especially those free throws on the night before. So
the shots go down right in Game 2, and that certainly helps when you're making your threes and you're making your tough shots or tougher shots or further distance shots. That's a big part of it. They were 0 for 10 in the first quarter of Game 1 from downtown. So I know the made shots are a big difference, but the reason they're making those shots is because they're so dialed in, right? I mean, defensively, they're getting in passing lanes, they're getting their hands on the basketball, they're creating transition opportunities, which is going to give you better looks at the basket. It's going to give you offensive looks where the defense isn't set. I thought rebounding was a big part, right? They didn't allow Denver to get tip backs or allow
especially
Denver,
compared to that game
right?
one.
And then Denver scores, and then they get their defense set. I mean, there were so many elements of, I think, just doing the right things that lead to getting great looks at the basket, and that's why you're scoring.
Yeah, no, for sure, definitely was. I mean, like I said, Thunder have been breakers not breakers. They've been breaking lots of records all year long, and that was. Game 2 was definitely one of those games. I mean, highest scoring first quarter, highest scoring half in Thunder history.
And in NBA playoff history, 87 points.
Yeah, and yes, in NBA, which was crazy. I mean, because they would have almost beat the Celtics that night from the final score.
That's right.
Which was crazy. I think another thing people kind of glazed over was how well Shea was in that second game, and people kind of asked, you know, he kind of was struggling with Memphis a little bit, but I mean, plus 51. That's the first time that's ever happened in NBA history. So just an all-around good night for the Thunder and a good comeback win for them.
No doubt about it. All 14 players that played in Game 2 scored a bucket for the Thunder, so it was pretty incredible. All right, we're going to talk more Thunder Nuggets series over the weekend toward the end of the show. But coming up next, Ollie Gordon joins us here on the End Zone. I'm excited to welcome our next guest. He is Ollie Gordon. Ollie, welcome to the End Zone, a place that you are very familiar with. I believe the number is 40 career touchdowns at Oklahoma State, but we're happy to have you. Congratulations on being drafted by the Miami Dolphins and becoming a member of the National Football League.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
I would imagine that you and your family had an incredible, I don't know, day, multiple days, weeks after you were drafted, just finally, you know, allowing that feeling and all that hard work to pay off.
Yes, sir. I would say we've been enjoying the past week. You know, as a kid, that's all you dream of was making it to the league. And, you know, everybody always says that 1% rule, only 1% makes it. And, you know, just to be part of that 1%, I feel like it's huge.
What was the draft process like? It was lengthy for you, I would imagine, with the Senior Bowl, the NFL Combine. You also participated in the Big 12 Pro Day. I've heard people talk about the grind that it is in terms of just the preparation every day, getting ready for the NFL draft. But were there peaks and valleys for you along the way?
You know, along the way, it felt like a long process all during it, you know, but when you look back at it, it really wasn't that long. It was really like 2 to 3 months where we had to do a bunch of stuff. You know, I would say the process was fun, though. Like you said, we had training, we had combine, we had the Senior Bowl. And I would say I met a bunch of players, so I feel like it made the process fun, you know.
In terms of going to Miami and starting this new journey in the NFL, what about Miami intrigues you the most in that organization?
I would probably say the coaching staff. You know, whenever I went on my visit there to meet with them and talk to them, you know, I felt like I built a bond with them, especially Coach Mike, you know. He just kept it real with me the whole time. And, you know, he was fun to be around. And the rest of the coaching staff, they were cool people, you know, and I feel like I enjoyed that visit the most.
It seems like you're a really good addition to that running back room, right? I mean, they've got some speed backs, and you kind of bring the other side of that. You look like you're going to be the hammer in that backfield.
Yes, sir. If you look at, I think I'm more on the bigger side of the backs, and Coach Mike was telling me, sometimes we need a bigger back for certain occasions, and I feel like I fit that role perfectly, and I feel like I'll be able to get in there and get to work and make things work.
In terms of your game and how it translates to the NFL and the things that you need to work on, what do you feel like immediately will be your strengths, and what are the things that you feel like you're going to have to work on a little bit to get more playing time or get more opportunities?
I would say my strengths will already be, getting downhill, being a downhill back, especially with my size, and I'm not going to do nothing but get bigger once I get there, get on their weightlifting regiments and stuff like that. And I feel like something I need to work on, I would say pass pro.
Now, I did hear an interview with you, I feel like a couple months ago, where you were taking some pride in your pass pro, especially when you were at Oklahoma State, and how good you are in that aspect, probably because of your physicality.
Yeah, I would say my pass pro is good. I wouldn't say it's the best or the greatest, but it's things I definitely can work on. And, like I said, I feel like with my physicality, my pass pro is great, It's good, but I could definitely work on it technique-wise and get things better.
Now, you wore number 0 at Oklahoma State. I believe Zach Wilson currently has number 0 for the Miami Dolphins. So if he doesn't relinquish the number, what's the plan for the Ollie Gordon Miami Dolphins jersey number?
If I can't get 0, I think I'm going to go in and rock with 31. And I say 31 because I feel like that means something. It's 32 teams in the NFL. The Dolphins took me. 31 teams passed on me, so I feel like that means something.
Do you have a list of all the running backs that went before you? I know there are players of different positions in the past that have kept track of the guys that go before them, and they make it a point to remember all of those guys to, maybe it's the chip on the shoulder, just adding a little motivation to the work ethic in terms of proving everyone wrong.
Yes, sir. I think it was 14.
I love it. I love it. Keep fueling that fire. All right, we are going to take a timeout. Ollie Gordon is our guest. We're going to put Ollie in the hot seat. It's Moving the Chains coming up next here on The End Zone. Welcome back to the show. Ollie Gordon is our guest here for Moving the Chains. So, Ollie, this is a very simple concept. You start with 1st and 10. I'm going to ask you questions, and depending on how well or not well you answer those questions, I'm going to give you positive or negative yardage. The goal here is to move the chains like you've done a million times. So this should be pretty easy. All right, yes, first down, 1st and 10. Question number 1. I want your all-time Oklahoma State fantasy football team. You get 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, and 3 receivers. But the catch here is you don't get to pick Barry Sanders because that's the obvious answer, right? So 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, all time.
Okay. If we're going all time, give me, give me Coach Gundy at quarterback.
Oh, I love it. Out of the gate.
2 running backs I'll take. Give me Terry Miller, Thurman Thomas. 3 receivers. Give me Tylan Wallace, Dez Bryant. And at my slot, give me Brendan Presley.
Oh, I love the answers. All right, I don't normally give a first down on 1st and 10. I think you've already picked up the first down, and we're going to try to get multiple first downs because I love the fact that you threw it back, and generally the young guys don't go back that far on the history timeline, so I appreciate the fact that you went way back in the archives with Coach Gundy and Thurman Thomas and Terry Miller. So first down, we got 1st and 10 again. So here we go, question number 2. Would you rather have to cover Brennan Presley one-on-one or block Colin Oliver one-on-one? Which do you think you would have greater success with?
I would say block Colin Oliver because all I got to do is put my body in the way. But with BP, he got any which way he can go. Colin going to have a special spot he want to get to. He got to get to the quarterback. BP getting wherever he wants to get to the end zone. So I'm going to say block Colin Oliver.
Okay, I think that's the right answer, although I'm not as big as you, so I might go the other way just because I think Colin Oliver might kill me in that situation in the 1 second that I try to get in his way. But I'm going to give you 7 yards, so we're going to set up 2nd and short. Good first down pickup. All right, question number 3. You're a guy that I always see with the big smile. You're having a good time. So I feel like there's got to be a really funny OSU football story for you, whether that's something on the field, a joke in the locker room, some sort of interaction with teammates or coaches. What is your funniest OSU football story?
I would probably say my funniest OSU story would be my freshman year. We played Texas at homecoming here at Boone Pickett Stadium. And, I feel like we were, down 14 at halftime, I think. And, we came back at halftime and we won. And, you always celebrate in the locker room, but we always used to have, a little dance party in the locker room after the game. And I'll probably say the most funniest thing ever was I saw Coach Gundy do a handstand, and he started break dancing. And when I say that, that's probably my favorite video. I always see it when I see it. It's just a great video.
Let's go touchdown here. Touchdown,
Yeah.
Ollie Gordon with the Mike Gundy breakdancing story. I feel like we could probably just get Mike Gundy stories on all 4 downs and probably be pretty successful. We do have one more, Ollie. We'll set up another first down. Maybe you can get 2 touchdowns here. So
okay, man, let's see.
This one is a hypothetical. If you were in a competitive eating contest, what would be your food of choice? What's the one thing that you feel like you would be really competitive in a competitive eating contest with?
Ooh. All right. Since we in Stillwater, I got to go with the Eskimo Joe's cheese fries.
How many Eskimo Joe's cheese fries do you think you could crush in 30 minutes?
I could probably get through 2 plates, 2 to 3 plates probably. With some ranch, oh yeah, it would be good.
I think that is probably worth winning an award for if you could do that in that amount of time. Those things sit heavy. They are delicious, but they absolutely sit heavy. So good on you for that.
Yeah, they are good though, for sure.
Is that the go-to dish in Stillwater when you need a snack?
Oh yeah, the cheese fries for sure.
A true OSU Cowboy. Ollie Gordon, not only does he pick up a first down on first down, but he gets one in the end zone as well, something he did 40 times at Oklahoma State. Ollie, we certainly appreciate your time, and we're rooting for you in Miami.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all.
That is Ollie Gordon joining us on this episode of Moving the Chains. Coming up next, we wrap up the show with Thunder basketball here on the End Zone. All right, welcome back one final time before we get out of here for the weekend. AUBYN PHIPPEN is our guest with 107.7 The Franchise, covering Thunder post games as we get ready for a big weekend series. The Thunder split the 2 games at home this week. They're at Denver for games 3 and 4. We did finally get the announcement of games 5, 6, and 7. If it goes that far, game 5, we will have a game 5. That's going to be back in Oklahoma City on Tuesday. Game 6 will be in Denver next Thursday. And if it goes to a game 7, that's going to be a week from Sunday. So Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday of next week would be games 5, 6, and 7. If it goes that far. Now, maybe it only goes 5. That would mean either Denver takes games 3 and 4 on their home floor, or Oklahoma City is able to steal 2 on the road. In terms of, I guess, hitting the road now for these 2 games, AUBYN, what are your keys, or what are you looking for out of these 2 road games for the Thunder?
Keys, we need a hot Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, always a mouthful, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think he needs to be hot along with J-Dub and Chet. If they get things going, I think it'll be really great for the Thunder. Role players are going to be crucial. Alex Caruso, he needs a good game defensively for them. And figuring out, I feel like the J-Will on Jokic kind of worked a little bit, so figuring out the big, that's going to really help with the Jokic. Other than that, I mean, if they take game 1, you said that earlier, and I do agree with you. If they take game 1, it could be rough. It could be rough,
Yeah.
but I have Thunder winning in 6, so I have all the hope in the world that they could get it done.
At the beginning of the series, I thought they would split the first 2. I thought they would split the second 2, and then I thought the Thunder would win games 5 and 6 to win in 6 as well. I would say this. I think given how the Nuggets were able to sneak one in the first 2 and then the Thunder dominance, if the Thunder win game 3, I think they probably go on to win game 4, and it might be a wrap at that point. Denver, I think, absolutely has to get game 3, and then at that point, I think the Thunder are able to bounce back. But we'll see how they bounce back following the blowout win, if they come in as razor-sharp focused as they were for game number 2. And I think the other big question is the physicality going into the 2 games in Denver. What is the whistle like? Because if you get a tight whistle, I think that benefits Denver. If they let it stay loose a little bit, then they're able to give Jokic a hard time. AUBYN, we appreciate it as always, and looking forward to more Thunder basketball over the weekend. I'm Colby Daniels, and we'll be back next week here on The End Zone.